Thus you see, until God strikes us with the stick of knowledge, we cannot attain it. Spiritual knowledge is within us, but we are not aware of this fact. Blows given with the stick of knowledge make us see that we have the power to free ourselves, and that knowledge is there within us. That is how Sri Ramakrishna explains the spiritual ideas. We have to organize ourselves properly. The more the discipline, the better. We have to perfect ourselves. The impurities are so much, it is horrible. How do you know that we have so much of impurities? Only when you practice you will understand how much hurdles are there on the way. All those hurdles were put by our own self, not by somebody. I myself have put all those hurdles on my way. Now I am becoming aware of those hurdles, so I am feeling the difficulty. I have put the hurdles, so I must remove the hurdles. It's logical. Ramakrishna said that those who are practicing spiritual disciplines, will all come to me. The floodgates of spirituality have been kept open. If people miss this opportunity, then they will have to wait for a long, long time. These are the words of Sri Ramakrishna. Incarnations come not for one particular community or country. They come for the whole humanity. That's the beauty of incarnation. Thereby, people are made to know God loves all the beings belong to Him. That concept must be properly understood. We must expand ourselves. We must have that wide dimension in our spiritual thinking. No room for any kind of narrowness or fanaticism or dogmatism. No. When you come to incarnation, you will get rid of all these limitations obstructing your spiritual growth. So, Sri Ramakrishna gives practical teachings, he meant what he said. He is giving these teachings not for the sake of simply making fun or simply making theories. No. Not at all. Every word, every sentence, every idea given by Sri Ramakrishna is like a mantra. It has tremendous mystical power. We will understand the significance of Sri Ramakrishna's teachings if we have little purification of heart. Purification of heart is important. Purity of mind is necessary to interpret spiritual ideas. To experience heavenly peace and joy. So all the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna are pointing to this. In the course of his teachings, he said, he who has seen God retains his I am so and so, only in name. This is an important characteristic of a realized person. People, as soon as they come in contact with holy men of such spiritual stature, they get fascinated towards such holy men on account of their simplicity and childlike behavior. That is, they are totally free from ego. No evil can be done by that I retained by a holy man after the realization of the Paramatma. Sri Ramakrishna tells it is a mere appearance, like the mark left on the coconut tree by its branch. The branch has fallen off, only the mark remains. It's a beautiful analogy. So Sri Ramakrishna is pointing out directly what is obstructing our spiritual growth. What is it that obstructs our spiritual unfoldment? Though we want it, we can't have it. Why? It is because Sri Ramakrishna says we have that ego which is a stumbling block on our spiritual path. So Sri Ramakrishna tells you to give up the wicked ego. He terms it as a wicked ego. Then again he clarifies the point. one doesn't have to renounce the ego that makes one feel, I am the servant of God. I am His devotee. See? One doesn't develop the divine ego as long as one retains the wicked ego. So Sri Ramakrishna is now making distinction between various types of ego. We are all being played by our ego. Deluded by egoism, man regards himself as very important. He becomes so sensitive, he becomes hurt for everything. He doesn't want to believe in the existence of God. Once I read in a newspaper in Chicago Tribune, somewhere in America they had a conference. Several hundreds attended that conference to debate whether God exists or not. Then the vote was taken. When the vote was taken, they all voted for the statement that God doesn't exist. So, existence of God depends upon the vote taken by these people in the conference. That is the effect of the wicked ego. Sri Ramakrishna has clearly pointed out. So he said, long before this conference held, Sri Ramakrishna has made a remark, these people don't believe God. He never seriously considered how little he can understand with his intellect. A man of such wicked ego. Whether the ego dies or not, it has to be observed by the person himself. He need not have to ask somebody else about his progress in whatever way. When the ego dies, all troubles cease. As long as we are egotistic, so long is God at a distance. Sri Ramakrishna explained this by an illustration. As long as the manager is in the storeroom, the head of the house does not go there. If anybody asks something of him, he directs that person to the manager. Go and speak to manager. He doesn't want to bother about things. So, to pinpoint, it is this ego that binds one in Maya. Maya means delusion. There is no escape until you feel, not I, but thou, my Lord. Until you cherish this feeling in your heart, you cannot be free from the effects of the ego. You can't have real peace. There are many sages, rishis, who used to devote their full time in practices, in meditation, prayers, and so on. There is an illustration of the great sage Narada. Probably you must have heard Narada Bhakti Sutra, aphorisms of devotion. It's really a wonderful book. Those who want to follow the path of devotion, Bhakti Yoga, they should read Narada Bhakti Sutras. Everything is defined clearly. What is what? So these aphorisms were given by the great sage Narada. Now how did he attain such devotion and knowledge? He attained that wonderful devotion and knowledge of Brahman by serving holy people. What does it mean? What do you attain by serving the holy people? Ego is destroyed. Ego is destroyed through service. Of course, you must have this concept before you start any service. Otherwise, you will become more egoistic than before. Everything depends upon the concept. Be aware of what you are doing. Then you will have wonderful result. Under no circumstances give up your spiritual practices. If you give up the practices of japam and meditation and engage yourself solely in work, as most people in America do, egoism is bound to arise in you, and you will become the source of quarrels and disharmony. So, Sri Ramakrishna points out, if you want to enjoy the glory of spirituality, renunciation is of the first importance. It destroys all ego. Without dispassion towards the world, faith and love do not grow. You must have dispassion. To lose the ego in God is dispassion. Now people generally they tend to work. It's very easy for them to work rather than to sit and do serious contemplation. But then, unless work is accompanied by meditation, japa, and other spiritual practices, its very spirit is lost. Then one forgets it is the Lord's work and not his own. Egotism and pride come, and instead of being purified by the work, the heart becomes defiled. Swami Chidananda ji, one of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, said, "Know it for certain that if one goes on performing one's duties under the sincere belief that one is doing God's work, one can never suffer spiritually. If you do the duties in this spirit, you are always safe. God protects such a one forever. But the fall comes as soon as egoism and attachment creep in. So you have to be fully aware. So that is why we always prescribe meditation and japa, holy association. Why? Because meditation and japam regularly done, they help in maintaining a balance. It's very important. And a little intrusion by pride and egotism is not a thing to be worried about, for God Himself will put you under the circumstances necessary for the wiping out of this little defect. As for pride and egotism, this can come even to the man engaged in austerities, in solitude. He may then think that he has become a big ascetic. Gone. The moment pride comes to you, you are finished. Always you must be watchful about the changes in yourself. If you are true to yourself, if your thoughts and actions are in accord with each other, pride and egotism can never assail you, whether you are engaged in spiritual practice or service to God. So, Sri Ramakrishna tells you that you must have diligence as long as you have the notion of ego. Swami Premanandaji, another direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, he said, it's a very significant statement. He said, Sri Ramakrishna did not make us great. He made us nobodies. You also have to become nobodies. Wipe out all vanity and all sense of ego. That's the meaning of becoming nobody. Look at the life of Nag Mahasaya. If you have not read, please read that life. Most wonderful life. If you want to know whether such a person was there, here is the case. Nag Mahasaya. Totally freed from ego. There was not the least trace of ego in him. Referring to Nag Mahashaya, a great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. Girish Chandra Ghosh, another household disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, said, referring to Nag Mahashaya and Swami Vivekananda, Maya tried to bind Nag Mahashaya and Vivekananda in her net. She tried, but failed miserably. Why? Because Nag Mahashaya was noted for his total dedication and devotion, was noted for completely selfless, free from any trace of ego. He became smaller than the smallest, so that Maya's net could not hold him. What about Vivekananda? He grew bigger and bigger. He became one with the infinite, and the net was too small to bind him. Here are the great ideals before us, set before us by Sri Ramakrishna. One is Nag Mahashaya, and another is Vivekananda, who came to America, preached Vedanta, passing through all sorts of hardships. So take them, follow their footsteps. You will see how wonderful you will be. Always remember, always remember, the Lord is the doer. If ever the idea that I am the doer enters into your head, what happens? The Lord instantly flies away. He doesn't stay there. All efforts then will be in vain. Therefore, you will have to be careful. Let not the unripe ego ever enter your heart. Pray that you may only be the instrument in the hands of the Lord through His grace. Then only will you become a real karma yogi. Karma yogi, yoga, what a fine term it is. To become a yogi, how much cautions you have to follow. Let the strong wind of dispassion rise in your minds, that the trees of desires be uprooted. Then, even as birds fly from the shelter of trees before a strong wind, will the ignorance of selfishness, jealousy, hatred and egotism take flight from your hearts. Then shall peace follow and fill your lives, even as calm follows the storm. Finally, referring to this topic, another direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, his name Swami Ramakrishan. All these disciples were intensely trained by Sri Ramakrishna, each one. He trained all these disciples and gave them to the world, gave them to the humanity. Sri Ramakrishna and his disciples were the contributions to the world. He said, his definition of egotism is the attraction towards the world means egotism. Well, I have dealt with this particular point, which is very important in our life. Who descended on this earth out of his infinite compassion for the humanity. He couldn't tolerate people's suffering in various ways on account of the lack of faith in God. Sri Ramakrishna came to show to these people how to get rid of this misery, how to cultivate faith in God. What is religion in the true sense? He came to validate all the noble teachings of the Vedas. He came to show what is pure love. He came to show what is pure devotion. He came to show what is practical spiritual life. He came to integrate all the religions of the world. He came to unify all the spiritual aspirants who are sincerely struggling towards perfection. He came to bestow love and devotion. He came to bestow knowledge. He came to bestow wisdom. Let us pray to him in all humility. God hears our prayers. Sri Ramakrishna himself has said, even the movement of the ant is heard by God. Whatever may be the thoughts in our mind are all heard by the Supreme Lord. God sees our heart. He sees our sincerity, whether we are sincere in our prayers. Sincerity is the foundation stone of spirituality. Then everything will come. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, last time I had read some passages where Sri Ramakrishna impresses about the importance of grace. We must try to get the grace of God, then all your problems get automatically solved. You need not have to worry over anything. Once you get the grace, you are sure to get whatever you aspired for. Without grace, it is not possible to get rid of the doubts. The greatest obstruction in our spiritual life is this doubt. Doubts linger on. Even Swami Vivekananda doubted about Sri Ramakrishna, whether he was really an incarnation. I would believe if Sri Ramakrishna could tell me now that he was so. At that time, Sri Ramakrishna was bedridden with cancer. He had become very weak physically. He couldn't speak. It was very difficult for him to get up even. He was about to leave his mortal frame. At that point of time, Swami Vivekananda entertained this doubt in his mind. He did not give expression to it, just the thought came to his mind. But then, here is Sri Ramakrishna, who could know everything, knowing which one knows everything, is said in the Upanishads. Sri Ramakrishna immediately came to know this thought in the mind of Vivekananda. Immediately he got up and said, "What, Naren? Do you still doubt me?" One who was Sri Ramachandra in Treta Yuga, one who was Sri Krishna in Dwapar Yuga, is now Sri Ramakrishna, but not in your Vedantic sense. That cleared all the doubts. Swami Vivekananda became very clear thenceforward. These doubts of Vivekananda could be cleared. How? By the grace of Sri Ramakrishna. So I am putting importance on the value of grace, how it is so necessary. Without grace, you can't move a step forward in spiritual life. Many people make a big show of spirituality, but real spirituality is something entirely different. It is based on experience, it is based on realization of the Paramatma. But then again Sri Ramakrishna tells how to get this grace. It is right. Without grace of God, nothing is possible, and we must all strive for it. True. But how to get it? That's the important question. Sri Ramakrishna himself answers that. Do you really aspire for the grace of God? then from this moment onwards, without any hesitation, without giving any reasons, practice discipline in life. Pray to God in all humility. Then you will see how the grace flows and purifies your whole being. That's what happened in the case of Vivekananda. He was sincere to the core, and he was very adept in meditation. He had all required qualifications for receiving grace. So, at the proper time, Sri Ramakrishna showed the grace and cleared all the doubts in the mind of Vivekananda. Again, Sri Ramakrishna gives how to understand this, how to practice this. He gives the example again, very simple example, but very practical. Again and again I am pointing out, everything becomes meaningful only if you are sincere. Without that, no spirituality. No spirituality. So here, Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of the father and the child. If the child holds the hand of the father, there is every reason for the child to fear it may stumble down while walking. On the other hand, if the father holds the hand of the child, then the child will not have to worry at all about stumbling. So, a man doesn't have to suffer anymore if God in His grace removes his doubts and reveals Himself to him. But then, as had already been pointed out, this divine grace depends upon how the aspirant lives his life. This grace descends upon him only after the aspirant has prayed to God with intense yearning of heart and practiced spiritual discipline. If he keeps on doing that, grace will come. Again, Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of the mother and the child. If the child comes running to mother, "Oh mother, where are you? I want you, nothing else." And the child keeps on crying and crying. The mother cannot hide herself anymore. She has to come running to take the child on her lap. That is the compassion of the mother towards child. The child wants mother, nothing else. The child hitherto was engaged in playing dolls. Now it is fed up with the game. It is no more interested in such games. It wants mother and mother and mother. In the same way, we are all playing in the world with all sorts of games. We are engaging ourselves, becoming too busy, hectic, taking credit for your hectic activity. In a way, it's a discredit if you are not able to repeat divine name even 5 minutes in the morning or evening. What's the use of all this your hectic activity? Nothing will come to you when you have to leave this world. Who will save? Who will protect? Do these hectic activities protect you at the time of death? Please think seriously over these things. 5 minutes of your sincere prayer works miracles. I am only pointing out the intensity of spiritual practice. Please try to understand Sri Ramakrishna. If you say that you have understood Sri Ramakrishna, it means that you must be practical intensely. Never at any point of time should there be any kind of carelessness. How many times we are careless in our activities? We forget. Why that forgetting comes? Why should it come? Because there is no alertness. We are lazy. So forgetfulness comes. Restless. So forgetfulness comes. Disinterested. So forgetfulness comes. Dishonest. So forgetfulness comes. Why don't you point out all these things and try to rectify? Then only you will understand Sri Ramakrishna. Then only you will understand Swami Vivekananda. Then only you will understand Holy Mother. Then only you will understand the meaning of grace. Until and unless that stand is practiced, you will never be able to appreciate or enjoy the grace of the Supreme Lord. Then one thought flashed in the mind of Master Mahashaya. Why God makes us run about? Why should He make this at all? Why should He put us into trouble and then make all these things? Just a thought flashed. Sri Ramakrishna immediately understood and said, well, it is all a fun. It is the divine play. That's all. That's the answer. It's all divine play. It is the work of Mahamaya. So, take refuge in Mahamaya. She is the power, she is Shakti. Propitiate her. Then only you will be able to get rid of the shackles of illusion caused by Mahamaya. Then only realization of God is possible. Shakti is the root of the universe. There are two aspects of Shakti. One is Vidya, another is Avidya. What is Avidya? It is nothing but that prompts the mind more and more towards acquirement and enjoyment of lust and gold. It is actually a spell, the spell cast on the people by Mahamaya. That is avidya. What is vidya? Devotion, kindness, wisdom, and love. All these fine, subtle virtues, they lead one to God. But how to propitiate mother? It's not such an easy thing. There are so many methods, but Sri Ramakrishna himself suggests what he practiced, how he propitiated mother, how he got everything, how he got the final realization, how he reached the maximum heights in spirituality. Sri Ramakrishna himself suggests it is always very safe and very practical and very easy to propitiate mother if you have the attitude of a child towards its mother. Be like a child. Then you will see how mother will take you up into her arms and takes full care of you. Why the mother takes all care about the child? Because the child completely surrenders to the mother. That state we must cherish in our hearts. Oh mother, I am yours. I am yours. Please protect me. Please guide me. That's it. So if we pray to mother in this way, with all sincerity, then whatever the experience you may pass through in the life will become a blessing. Whatever may be the difficulties, whatever may be the situations you are placed in, everything turns out to be good. That is how you will receive the grace of the Divine Mother. Once we reach that highest state of direct experience with God, then no more attraction about any things of this world. Everything pales into insignificance. You will be perpetually happy, peaceful and blissful. I have read up to this point and I have given my comments. knowledge to lead us from death to immortality. It's only when the ignorance is removed, when we experience the supreme bliss emanating from our own true self, we really establish ourselves forever in most wonderful peace. The real meaning of peace is understood only in samadhi. The supreme bliss is possible only on the foundation of tranquil mind. It means we will have to struggle how far it depends upon individual case. It depends upon what amount of impressions we have in our mind to be got rid of. But it's very important that you must become aware of your position. There is no point in simply hiding. You must be frank enough to admit your state of weakness, and you must be determined to fight all those weaknesses causing unbearable suffering. So, if you entertain spiritual idea in your mind, you will become truly strong. You must become strong. Otherwise, how can you fight? That too, you have to fight with the hidden impressions, tendencies, which had been deep-rooted, very difficult to be removed. But there is no other way. You have to take all methods and you have to be practical in your doing the things. You can't afford to waste any more time in unnecessary debate and fun in the world. Life goes away, leaving behind impressions. When we leave the body, we carry the mind along with us. The mind carries all the impressions that you had gathered in the life. They come with you. So you have to unburden unwanted things rooted in the mind. So Sri Ramakrishna repeatedly says to dwell upon spiritual ideas constantly, develop faith and devotion to God, spend some time every day without fail for devotional practices. You will get the results. If you are looking after the results, you may not see them. If you don't look after them, they will come to you. That is why the Supreme Paramatma, God, the all-pervading, omnipresent, He takes form. He comes to our level. He descends to our level. He behaves like us, only to lead us beyond the realm of ignorance, only to give us immense peace and joy. They come. The Supreme Paramatman comes. You are not able to comprehend, appreciate or understand the all-pervading, omnipresent God. It is too abstract to understand anything. So to make us understand, to make us feel there is that supreme Shakti governing the whole universe, it comes in human form. So, the concept of incarnation is very important and essential for us to understand. It's only through incarnations you can have some glimpse of God. Otherwise, it's only a talk. How to know the nature of God? Of course, it is impossible to know the infinite nature of God, but then at least little bit glimpse of it we must have. Even that glimpse is enough for us to make our life completely fulfilled. So Sri Ramakrishna said that there is a greater manifestation of God in man than in other created beings. It is true, God is everywhere. But greater manifestation is found in human beings. Among the human beings, God manifests Himself in a still greater degree in pure-souled devotees. So he said, he felt great longing for youngsters like Narendra, Rakal and other children who would come to see Ramakrishna. He would be in ecstasy when he saw these youngsters, pure-souled, in whom Sri Ramakrishna could see clearly the reflection of God. These young children whose mind is not stained by the worldliness, whose mind is not stuck up in the worldliness. That means who have not been dragged into the net of Maya. So, he would feel ecstatic joy when such young children come near him. Sri Ramakrishna gave an example. You can often see small holes along the edge of a lake. What do you see there? Fish, crab, in large numbers, they gather there. Just so, there is a greater accumulation of divinity in man. It is said that man is greater than Salagrama. Salagrama is the symbol, image, stone, which the Hindus worship as the symbol of Lord Vishnu. Here man means Nara. Nara means he may be either man or woman. It is not that God manifests only through human, means only through men, not women. No, it's not like that. Man is Narayana himself, Nara Narayan. If God can manifest himself through an image, then why not through man also? In fact, it becomes easy for us to follow the spiritual ideas through seeing men like us showing the way. It's easy to understand the glory of God through such people than simply imagining. That's why you find if you live a day or two with holy people, you feel a kind of inner peace. You would like to be more and more in such company, because you find God's glory manifests in holy people more. To the extent you maintain your purity of heart, to that extent God manifests in you. So God is born for the purpose of sporting as man. The whole creation is nothing but a sport. Leela Kshetra, as all our scriptures put it, even holy people all have said, what is this creation? What is this births and deaths going on? Fight between good and evil going on. Game. Game means you can't have all people to win. Some people should be defeated, some people should win the game. That's why it's called game. So, Rama, Krishna, Christ, they're all examples. So by meditating on incarnation of God, you are meditating on God Himself. Because you have not seen God, how God exactly would be. But you can see a person in front of you who is manifesting the qualities of divine, and who is more than God to you. Then it's easy to practice your life in the holy company of such people. These are the words of Sri Ramakrishna. How could you understand his ways if the Divine Lord didn't manifest himself as man among his devotees? So, why should he be born? Why? Only because to redeem the embodied beings, at least those who are struggling to get out of this net of Maya. God comes to lend His helping hand. And even when He gives up the gross body, that is referring to incarnation, His power continues through His devotees. The Lord Himself is born as His devotee. Although He is omnipresent and infinite, He comes to us in a finite form for our good. What are these incarnations? Christ, Krishna, Rama, Buddha. They are perfectly clear mirrors which gave us a perfect reflection. They didn't bring us anything new. Truth is always existent. Each one was a reflector of eternal truth. But one man catches the light from Christ, so he says, Christ has given me the truth. I belong to Christ. I am a Christian. Another man sees the light through Muhammad and says, I am a Mohammedan. Third one says, Buddha is truth. I belong to Buddha. So, each great teacher has his followers who believe that the truth can come from him alone. But all teachers reflect the same truth. That's an important point you must note. Then there will be no quarrel, there will be no disharmony amongst you. This is the most fantastic message given by Sri Ramakrishna. He harmonized all the religions, all incarnations. He threaded them all, made them a big garland of religions. He wore that garland on his neck. Sri Ramakrishna represents all religions. I am not telling in a fanatical way or dogmatic way. You can study his life and teachings with open-mindedness. You will yourself recognize this wonderful truth. How Sri Ramakrishna, in order to harmonize all these religions, himself practiced, got revelations through all these paths, and then only he declared all paths are true. All paths are true. All teachers reflect the same truth. Maybe in a different language. A Hindu may interpret the truth in a Sanskrit language, an Englishman in English, American in American, China in Chinese. Languages may be different, but truth cannot be different. Truth is same. Once a devotee asked a question to Swami Ramakrishna, one of the great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Sir, God being infinite, why and how does he incarnate? The Swami says, that man who has forgotten his infinite nature is finite. If it is thus possible for man to be finite and infinite at the same time, how much more must it be possible for God to be so? An incarnation of God too has body and mind like us. You can touch them, you can talk to them, you can be with them, enjoy with them, share everything with them, eat with them, have all relationships as you have with your fellow beings. But what is the speciality? The incarnation has the power to separate himself from body and mind easily, whereas it is too difficult for us. For example, sleep. It overpowers a man, but never an incarnation who has masterly control over his body when awake, over his mind when dreaming. He doesn't lose control over his mind, over his consciousness when asleep. In all these three states, he is fully aware of his true nature. So a divine incarnation is a complete master of all his being in waking, dream and sleep. From the highest being down to the blade of grass, all living organisms are a peculiar mixture of the finite and infinite. An incarnation also is no exception to the rule. But he only appears finite through all the time. Though he is all the time infinite. Though he seems to be finite in power, he is actually omnipotent. But few can recognize the perfect and divine nature of an incarnation, so all treat him as an ordinary being. But even though they treat such a person as ordinary, they find a tremendous special power of attraction in him. If you study the life of Sri Ramakrishna, you will find when he was in Kamarpukur, all the people of the village had become his friends. Everybody loved him. Everybody was eager to share joy with him. They wouldn't go away from his company. They loved to be with him all the time. Everybody wanted him to his home. Tremendous attraction. What's it due to? It is because of the divinity. So the attraction is the divine attraction, not the polluted attraction which we see in the world. The incarnations express the ideas of worldly people by imposing their limitations upon themselves. So incarnation of God is a complete and perfect ideal. You may ask, where are the people? Simply they talk about God. Where are the people who have lived the life of God or who have realized God? Where are they? You may ask the question. Here are they. Incarnations. They are the model to us. Just have faith in them, follow their teachings, then ask questions if you have. Without practicing the teachings, if you simply talk, you'll have to keep on talking unto your death. So the incarnation of God is a complete and perfect ideal. As much of it as you can comprehend is yours. But it's just like there's a sugar hill. Ant goes there. How much it can take? 2 grains? 3 grains? All right. As much as it can. But the sugar hill is huge. In the same way, incarnation, tremendous power, spiritual power. What you want, how much you can take. Have it. And they are ready to give. An incarnation of God has his own time and place. When he comes, nobody knows. He comes when he finds the time is for him to come. He comes when many people, stricken with misery, piteously call on him day and night and pray with a simple heart. The prayer must be sincere. Not simply praying in a political platform. Everybody prays. This moment they pray, next moment they behave in a very different way. Sincere prayer always has got effect. O Lord, never shall I do such things again. This shows even how to pray. Bring my miseries to an end. I make an offering of all my karma to you. Appear before me. Like that you must pray. Pray honestly. Or when at the time of decay of religion, the people who are in that field begin praying to God, O Lord, come down on earth and re-establish the reign of law. Everywhere there is chaos, no respect for human life. Please come. Then If the time is ripe, God incarnates as a man. Don't think his life is so smooth. Oh, incarnation, he's a God. No, he suffers more than what we suffer. Why? He suffers the karma, the results of good and bad actions of man. He suffers for our sake. If you call God, God will come to you to take your suffering, to give you peace. Then he has to burn out that suffering. But then he has no karma of his own. Why then does he suffer so much from birth to death? Take any incarnation. How much hardship, how much struggle they have to pass through. So what does it show? Must develop that sacrificing nature. Those who desire to love an incarnation of God must also be ready to suffer like them. Suffer for the sake of humanity. That's the point. Whenever God incarnates himself in human form, he reveals himself as such as men would not understand him otherwise. Anyway, we will be able to walk through spiritual life steadily if we are cautious and conscious of what we are doing. Not pointing out finger on anybody for anything that might happen. With that attitude, carry on the life courageously, boldly, not hiding, not cheating. Have a hero's death. If you have to die, die like a hero. Don't die like a fox. Then you will understand what exactly spirituality means. And enjoy eternal peace and bliss. Sri Ramakrishna said to Keshav Chandra Sen, a very significant statement he made. One cannot conquer ignorance without the power of God. That's why we are all in great trouble. Though we want to get rid of ignorance, it's not going away. More and more we are entering into darkness instead of getting out of it. That means what is to be done? Why it is so?